What if the people who vanish without a trace never really left? In tonight's video, we're diving into 3 deeply unsettling, true horror stories where the missing weren't lost in the traditional sense. They were taken, swallowed by something far stranger and much darker. In Story 1, a young man moves into a modern high-rise with one unique feature: a flawless, wall-sized mirror that doesn't quite reflect reality. At first, his reflection lags. Then it smiles without him, and when it starts waving back, he disappears. But what happens to the next tenant is even worse. In Story 2, a teenager receives a text from her best friend 2 weeks after he died in a train accident. The messages become more disturbing. GPS pings, photos taken from inside her room, and a terrifying video file that reveals the truth. Something is using the phone signal to come back. And in Story 3, a hotel room sealed since Hurricane Katrina suddenly gets a call from a guest. No one checked in. A little girl in a vintage nightgown is seen sitting alone on the bed, asking not to be left again. When someone vanishes during a live stream inside the room, the hotel does everything to bury the footage. 3 disappearances, no logic, no exit, and each more horrifying than the last. Stay until the end, because by the time the 3rd story finishes, you'll realize some people don't vanish. They just end up in the wrong place. Story 1. The Man Who Disappeared in the Mirror. When Daniel Ricks signed the lease for Unit 903 of the newly renovated Wilburn Tower in downtown Chicago, he thought he'd scored the jackpot. The building had a reputation for being sterile, modern, and blessedly quiet. Exactly the kind of place a reclusive freelance graphic designer needed. Daniel didn't party. He didn't date. He didn't even decorate. Just a laptop, an ergonomic chair, and blackout curtains to keep the world out. But there was something else. The bathroom mirror. It was huge, an entire wall of solid glass, polished and pristine, mounted so seamlessly into the tile that Daniel at first thought it wasn't even a mirror, just a reflective black screen. There was no frame, no visible edge, no mounting bracket, just mirror, flush against the wall like it had grown there. The first night, Daniel caught himself staring into it far longer than he should have. At first, he chalked it up to insomnia. He'd been working a long stretch of midnight contracts and was used to his mind playing tricks, but the mirror had a clarity that unsettled him, not the kind of high-definition reflection you get with clean glass. Something else, something too clear. As if the mirror didn't reflect the room, it revealed a different one. By the 3rd day, Daniel had started avoiding the bathroom light. It wasn't fear exactly, more like unease. His reflection didn't seem quite right. It was subtle, millisecond lags between his own movement and the mirrored response. A blink that finished half a second late, a shoulder that raised slower, a hand that hung still a fraction too long after Daniel had moved on. Then came the smile. One night, while brushing his teeth in dim light, Daniel stared into the mirror and swore he saw it. A twitch at the corner of his reflection's mouth. A smile. But Daniel hadn't smiled. He was dead-eyed, tired, numb. The reflection, though, grinned like it had just heard a joke Daniel wasn't in on. He dropped his toothbrush and backed away. The grin vanished. "Sleep," he muttered aloud, trying to laugh it off. "I just need sleep." But the next day, it got worse. He began leaving the bathroom door closed, covering the mirror with an old towel like it was some sort of haunted object in a movie. But even then he felt it, this strange gravitational pull, like something was watching him through the wall. Daniel did what any rational person would. He Googled. Mirror reflections delayed. Mirror hallucinations. Why does my reflection move differently? Most results chalked it up to sleep deprivation, neurological misfires, or carbon monoxide leaks. He bought a detector. Nothing. On the 5th night, he set up his phone and hit record. He stood in front of the mirror, expressionless, and raised one hand, then the other, then blinked twice. Nothing abnormal, until he played back the video. On the recording, for one brief frame, his reflection did something impossible. It turned its head toward him, independent of his movement. Just a flick, just a glance. But Daniel screamed and dropped the phone. He didn't watch the rest. He didn't want to. At 3:07 a.m., the building's maintenance log showed an alert from Unit 903. A motion sensor detecting movement in the bathroom, even though Daniel's phone showed him in the living room, curled up on the couch, shaking. When he woke up the next morning, the mirror was uncovered again. He swore he hadn't touched it, and something had changed. The reflection now showed a slightly different version of the room. His towel was missing from the floor. The lights were flickering in a way they weren't in the real room. And in the far corner, where his shower curtain should have been, there was a hallway, a dark, narrow hallway stretching far beyond the bounds of his bathroom wall. Daniel leaned closer, squinted, touched the glass. It was warm. The hallway shimmered, like heat distortion. Then the lights in the room cut out. Total darkness. His phone flashlight flicked on automatically, but the mirror showed a different image. Him, still standing, still frozen. But his reflection stepped backward, away from him, slowly, then turned its head again and smiled. This time, it waved. Daniel stumbled back and ran. He left the apartment completely, shoes untied, still in his pajamas. He slept in his car that night, parked 2 blocks away. The next day, when he finally returned, the apartment was cold, silent. He packed a duffel bag, eyes never leaving the mirror, but just before he left, curiosity got the better of him. He turned around, slowly, and walked back to the bathroom. The hallway was gone, just his reflection, blank, pale, staring. Daniel lifted one hand. The reflection did not move. It watched. Then, without warning, the reflection reached out, toward him. The last thing anyone ever heard was a scream, muffled, choked off, like it came from behind a wall of glass. Daniel Ricks was never seen again. When the building manager unlocked Unit 903 the following morning, everything appeared normal. No signs of struggle, no signs of forced entry or departure. His laptop was still humming. His wallet and keys were on the kitchen counter. The coffee in the mug was still warm. The only thing out of place? The bathroom mirror. A single blackened handprint, smudged from the inside. The police wrote it off as a mental health case. Voluntary disappearance. Another recluse who cracked under pressure and took off without telling anyone. But Daniel's family pushed back. He'd never shown signs of depression. No reason to vanish. And even stranger, the mirror. They'd asked the building to remove it. The request was denied. Until it happened again. 6 months later, a new tenant moved in. Lila Monroe, 28, a freelance social media manager. She was bubbly, practical, and entirely unfazed by the online rumors she'd read about Unit 903. People disappear every day, she'd said on her vlog. Ghost mirrors? Please. She moved in on a Friday. By Sunday night, she was live streaming from her bathroom, a half-joking mirror test for her followers. Okay, she laughed nervously. If Daniel Ricks is in there, I'm gonna need you to stop being creepy and just Venmo me rent. Her comments filled with laughing emojis, until the screen went static, for one frame, then black. The stream resumed, but Lila was gone. The camera was still rolling, still facing the mirror, which now reflected the empty bathroom, except for something standing far in the back, blurry, half in shadow, its head tilted too far to one side. No audio, just dead silence. The stream auto ended 11 minutes later. That was the last time anyone saw Lila Monroe. Her apartment door was locked from the inside, all her belongings untouched, phone still recording. Her reflection was never visible in that mirror again. Instead, it reflected the bathroom, slightly off. A towel rack that no longer existed. Tiles cracked that weren't cracked in real life. And always that vague hallway in the distance. A building-wide panic began. Tenants moved out. The management company tried to remove the mirror. They couldn't. Literally. Contractors arrived with tools, but the mirror wouldn't come loose. Not with hammers, not with pry bars, not even with industrial-grade glass cutters. It didn't scratch, didn't chip. One man fractured his wrist trying, and worse. Anyone who stared at it too long started reporting the same thing. A pressure in their skull, a whisper too low to understand, and a feeling like someone was standing behind them even when the room was empty. A maintenance worker claimed he saw his own reflection lagging by full seconds. Another broke down sobbing when he swore the mirror showed his dead brother waving from the hallway inside. Finally, the building sealed off Unit 903 completely. No one was allowed in, not even the property manager. But then, the USB drive surfaced. It arrived in an anonymous envelope sent to Daniel's sister, Sarah, with no return address. Just a sticky note on the front that read, "He saw what's inside." The drive contained a single folder, Reflections Final. Inside were dozens of art pieces, creepy, surreal digital renderings of distorted rooms, doorways leading to nowhere, and most disturbing, mirrors that reflected things not in the real world. But one file stood out, mirrorhall.mp4. It was a slow panning video, dark, silent, a single uncut shot down a hallway, made entirely of mirrors. Floor, walls, ceiling, every surface was glass. And in the reflections, dozens of people, some screaming, some banging on the glass, some just staring, mouths open like they were frozen mid-sentence. Each mirror reflected someone trapped in some other mirrored world. One man had no eyes. One child was clawing at the walls until her fingernails bled. One woman sat rocking, whispering to herself. And then, frame 5, 27. Daniel, wearing the same hoodie he was last seen in, standing in the center of the hallway, mouth agape, eyes hollow, and behind him, a new reflection appeared. Lila, for just one frame, standing beside him, her eyes wide, her hand outstretched. The video ends with both of them turning to look directly at the camera and smiling. Authorities tried to trace the drive's origin. It led nowhere. The metadata had been wiped clean. The drive was destroyed in evidence processing, but copies had already leaked online. The subreddit /r/vanishings now refers to it as the Mirror Room. Some believe it's a digital art hoax. Others believe it's real. But the most disturbing part? A user named MirrorPath903 commented on a leaked frame. "I see myself. Back left corner. I never filmed that. I wasn't in Chicago, but that's me. I've never owned a mirror since." Shortly after posting that, the user deleted their account. Then their apartment was found abandoned, coffee still warm, phone left on the counter, and the bathroom mirror covered in black handprints. Story 2, The Dead Man Who Texted Me. It was a Wednesday afternoon when Amber Halloway got a text from her dead friend. "Hey, need help. Come to the tracks." That was it. No punctuation, no emojis, just a gray bubble hovering like a ghost on her screen. The sender, Jason Lorne, the same Jason who'd been buried 11 days earlier. Amber stared at the screen for a long time, frozen on her porch swing, her phone trembling in her hand. Her first thought, someone was sick enough to spoof his number. But it was his number. She had over 100 old texts to prove it. Jokes, memes, a string of "you up" messages he used to send when he was bored at 2 a.m. Amber hadn't deleted any of them. She couldn't. Not yet. She tapped the message bubble. Her fingers hovered over the reply bar. She started typing. "Who is this?" but didn't hit send. Instead, she tossed the phone onto the cushion beside her, like it had burned her fingertips. Inside the house, her mother called her for dinner. Amber didn't move. Jason had died 2 weeks ago. The story was simple and brutal. He'd gone out drinking with friends, tried to walk home, and stumbled across the old railroad bridge just outside town. They found what was left of him the next morning, what hadn't been scattered by crows or dragged away by raccoons. It had rained that night, washed everything clean. No phone, no wallet, just blood, clothes, and a shoe caught in a crack between the planks. Everyone called it a freak accident, everyone except Amber. Jason didn't drink that much. He hated the railroad. He used to call it the Black Vein, swore it gave him bad dreams. The week before he died, he'd told her, "There's something wrong with that place, like it's hungry." Amber thought about that text all night. She didn't reply. She didn't tell anyone. She tried to sleep, but at 2:17 a.m. her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo, blurry, dimensois but unmistakable, a figure standing on the railroad tracks, backlit by a distant light, face hidden in shadow. But the build, the hair, it looked like Jason, and in the bottom right corner, the timestamp read 2:16 a.m., just 1 minute before she'd received it. Amber bolted upright in bed. She nearly dropped the phone as she jumped out from under the covers. She checked the window. Nothing. Dead silence outside. Just the distant hum of cicadas and the rustle of trees. She ran downstairs, woke up her mom. "What's wrong?" her mom asked groggily. Amber shoved the phone in her face. "He texted me. Jason, look." Her mom stared at the screen, blinked, then frowned. "There's nothing there." "What?" Amber yanked the phone back. The text thread was empty. No messages, no photo. Just the last unread message from 2 weeks ago. "I'll let you know when I'm home." Amber stared at the screen, shaking. No, it was right here. He sent me a picture. I swear." Her mom rubbed her eyes. "You need to sleep, baby. Please, just try to sleep." But Amber couldn't, because that night she heard her phone buzz again, and again, and again. 12 texts, all from unknown numbers. Each one contained a single word. "I never died." The next day at school, Amber sat through every class like she was underwater, eyes glazed, hands cold. People whispered. She could feel it. Jason had been popular, smart, funny, always pulling dumb stunts for attention. Amber was the quiet one, the background girl, but now she was the last one to talk to him before he died. Some people called her cursed. Others asked her what really happened that night. She didn't have answers, just questions, and a phone full of messages that wouldn't stop coming. By the end of the day, she had received another picture. This one was unmistakable, a photo taken from behind her bedroom curtain, her silhouette in bed, backlit by the pale glow of her desk lamp. Taken from inside the house. Amber threw up in the school bathroom. She tried to show it to her mom again, but the image vanished the moment she opened her gallery, replaced by static, like corrupted data. "Baby," her mom said, "I want you off your phone for a while, okay?" "I'm not crazy." Amber whispered. "Someone's watching me." That night she didn't sleep. She stayed on her porch swing until the stars burned holes in the sky and the air turned cold enough to see her breath. She kept her phone off, powered down, but around 3 a.m., the streetlight across from her driveway blinked out, and she heard footsteps, slow, dragging, like bare feet on gravel. Amber stood, her breath caught in her throat. From the shadows, a shape stepped forward. It was Jason, pale, expressionless, the exact hoodie he wore the night he died. His lips barely moved. "You saw me die, right?" he whispered. Amber didn't answer. "Then why am I still here?" She ran, but the footsteps followed. When she made it back into the house and slammed the door behind her, the hallway lights flickered. Her phone, still powered off, vibrated once, then again. When she finally turned it on, there was a video file waiting. No sender, no caption, just a file name, helpmeamber.mp4, and the thumbnail, a close-up of Jason's face, eyes wide, mouth open, and behind him, a black shape with too many fingers reaching toward his neck. Amber didn't open the video right away. She stared at the file on her phone for over an hour, her thumb hovering above the screen while her other hand trembled against her chest. The longer she waited, the more she felt it, that suffocating weight behind her, like someone watching her over her shoulder. Finally, at 4:03 a.m., she hit play. The screen went black for 3 seconds, then static, then a shaky frame of Jason's face, too close to the camera, illuminated by what looked like the light of a dying flashlight. His breathing was shallow, rapid. "Amber," he whispered. "I don't have much time. Don't answer. Don't reply. That's how it finds you. It's in the signal." The frame shook violently, like he'd turned around mid-recording. Behind him was a corridor of dead trees. Amber recognized the spot, the trail behind the old train tracks, where they used to walk when they skipped class. "I made a mistake," Jason said. "I looked into it too long, heard it breathing in the line. It said it could bring people back, but it lies. It brings copies." A deep, clicking sound echoed from somewhere off-screen. Jason flinched. "I shouldn't have answered. Amber, if you see me again, it's not me. No matter what it says, it's not me." The screen cut to static again, but this time it didn't stop. Instead, it glitched into something worse. For exactly 5 seconds, Amber watched footage from inside her own house, camera panning slowly through the kitchen, the hallway, her bedroom, all dark, all empty. Except in the mirror near her door, something was standing in the reflection, motionless, smiling. The video ended. Amber dropped her phone. She backed into the corner of her room, locked the door, and sobbed into her knees until the sun came up. That morning, she told her mother everything. The texts, the pictures, the footage. Her mom didn't try to argue this time. She just nodded, silent and pale, and took the phone to the local police. The detective who reviewed the file, Detective Ashburn, was a skeptic. Former cyber crimes unit. Thought it was all some kind of elaborate prank. He plugged the phone into their forensic software and ran a full scan. That's when it got stranger. The text messages, they weren't traceable. No originating number, no IP, no timestamps. It was like they hadn't been sent through a network at all, just appeared in Amber's phone. The video file, it had no metadata, not missing metadata, 0. No creation date, no author, no device signature, no codec origin. It shouldn't have even been possible. Ashburn ran it through the department's AI audio scrubbing system. He wanted to enhance the whispering in the background of Jason's video. But when the software isolated the sound, it crashed. When they rebooted, The program had extracted one coherent sentence. "I live between the rings of your call." Ashburn closed the case the next day. He didn't give a reason. He left the department 6 months later, citing personal spiritual distress, and moved to rural Wyoming. Amber never saw him again. But the texts didn't stop. They began appearing on her mom's phone, then her dad's, then her cousin's in Ohio, someone Jason had only met once years ago. Each message was a variation of the same thing. "Tell her I'm still real. I came back wrong. Delete me before I grow." Amber destroyed her phone, smashed it with a hammer, switched to a flip phone, changed her number, moved in with her aunt across the state. But a month later a letter arrived in the mail. No stamp, no return address, just a photo tucked inside. A screenshot of her new bedroom, taken from the hallway at night, and written on the back, in Jason's handwriting, "Even without a signal, I still find you." That was the last day Amber Halloway was seen. Her aunt reported her missing the following morning. The door was still locked. No signs of forced entry. Her flip phone sat untouched on the nightstand. The only thing out of place, a fully charged smartphone resting neatly on her pillow. One that Amber never owned. It was powered on, looping a single video file with no name. It showed Amber sitting alone in her room, facing the camera. She looked hollow, skin gray, eyes bloodshot, fingers twitching like a puppet on invisible strings. She leaned forward, whispered something into the camera, audio distorted, but techs at the lab managed to isolate the words. "He found a way through me." They traced the phone's serial number. It didn't exist. The MAC address didn't match any network. Every attempt to turn off or reset the device failed. Eventually, the FBI took it into evidence. But weeks later, the lead agent on the case vanished during transport. Security footage of the evidence locker that night? Gone. Corrupted beyond recovery. And so the phone sat, locked in a vault somewhere underground, until a year later, a 14-year-old boy from Oregon posted on a conspiracy forum, "I just got a text from some guy named Jason. He says I have to come to the tracks." He posted a screenshot. Same message, same timestamp, same blurry silhouette. His post got 32 upvotes before it was deleted. His account disappeared hours later. So did he. Story 3, The Girl from the Hotel Room No One Booked. Travis Enoch was a night shift security guard. Nothing glamorous, just 12-hour shifts walking up and down the hallways of the Lafitte Hotel in New Orleans. The place had history, centuries of it, fire, flood, war, even a mass drowning during Hurricane Katrina. But Travis didn't care about that. He cared about peace, quiet, and staying awake long enough to collect his paycheck. His beat included all 10 floors, though the 4th was always off-limits. Room 413 had been condemned after Katrina. A partial collapse, ceiling damage, exposed pipes, and mold infestations that made it uninhabitable. The hotel never repaired it. They just sealed the room, locked the door, and left it untouched. No one ever booked that room. No one ever should have. That's why, on a rainy Tuesday night in November, Travis nearly dropped his flashlight when the call came through his radio. "Front desk to security. Guest in 413 says her heater's not working." Travis stared at the radio like it had just sworn at him. He clicked the button. "Say again? Which room?" 413. He paused. That room's not in service." Silence crackled back through the speaker. "Check it anyway," the voice finally replied. "Guest says she's cold." Travis didn't answer. He grabbed the old clipboard of room assignments to double-check. Room 413 had a red X across it, black marker, sealed since 2005. Not on the guest log, not in the booking system. Still, he took the elevator up. The hallway on the 4th floor was dark. One of the overhead lights had been out for weeks. It always buzzed when he walked past it, as if protesting his presence. Room 413 sat at the very end of the hall. Door scratched, brass numbers tarnished black, dust on the knob. But as Travis approached, he heard something, a low hum, and beneath that, sobbing, childlike, fragile, not loud but steady, like someone trying very hard not to cry too hard. He knocked once. "Hello?" The crying stopped. He waited. Then very faintly, "Come in." Travis tried the handle. Locked. He blinked, heartbeat rising. His master key card was in his back pocket, but even as he reached for it, a small voice whispered again from behind the door. "It's too cold." He fumbled the card, slid it through the lock. The light turned green. Click. The door opened, and what he saw on the other side didn't make sense. The inside of room 413 was pristine, not decayed, not moldy, not flooded. It looked like the rest of the hotel, dimly lit, quiet, carpeted in deep burgundy. A candle flickered on the nightstand. The bed was neatly made, and sitting at the edge of the mattress was a little girl, maybe 6 years old, pale, wearing a blue nightgown that looked a century old. Her feet didn't touch the floor. She looked up at him with wide, watery eyes. "Don't leave me alone this time," she whispered. Travis froze. Are you okay? Where's your mom?" The girl didn't answer. She just pointed at the heater on the wall. "It's broken again." Travis glanced at the heater. It looked unplugged. But when he stepped inside to plug it in, the air in the room shifted, colder, heavier, like stepping into a crypt. He bent down, fingers brushing the cord, and then he saw it. A second reflection in the glass of the unplugged TV across the room. It wasn't his. It was standing behind him, tall, black, no face, just a long, dripping shadow like water laking down a wall. Travis stood up fast. The reflection vanished. He turned. No one behind him, just the girl, still sitting on the bed. But she wasn't looking at him anymore. She was staring at the mirror above the dresser, unblinking, smiling. That's when Travis backed out. Didn't say another word, just left. Door still open behind him. He didn't even wait for the elevator. He ran down 4 flights of stairs and burst into the lobby, breathless. The night manager, Carla, looked up in alarm. "There's a kid in 413, he shouted. "Who the hell booked that room?" Carla looked confused. She turned her monitor toward him. The digital log showed every occupied room. Room 413 was red, inactive. "No one's in that room," she said. Travis grabbed the mouse, rewound the hallway footage. There he was, walking toward 413. He opened the door. The camera glitched. Then the footage skipped to him running back down the hallway. When they reviewed it frame by frame, there was a single flicker, one still frame that hadn't been there before. A figure standing just inside, room 413, tall, featureless, staring, and the little girl, never caught on camera. 2 weeks later, Travis quit his job, said he didn't want the paycheck that badly, said some doors were locked for a reason. Management chalked it up to burnout. But when the new maid, Sofia Delgado, went to clean the floor 2 days after he left, she didn't come back. She signed in, took her card up. Surveillance showed her entering the 4th floor hallway. Then nothing. No return, no exit. Just one frame of her reaching for the door to room 413. And then she was gone. The cart was later found parked outside the room. The sheets inside were soaked in salt water, and the last towel, folded perfectly in the shape of a child's dress. Sofia Delgado's disappearance barely made the news. It was easier for the hotel to frame it as a runaway situation. A young immigrant woman who'd only been working at Lafitte for 3 months. No family in town, no permanent address, just a maid with no past, and now no future. But her cousin, Elena, didn't buy it. Sophia had called her the night before she vanished, said she was feeling watched, that she'd seen a little girl walking down the hallway on the 4th floor at midnight, said the child had turned to her and said, "It's warmer now that he left." Elena begged her to tell the manager. Sophia laughed it off. "I'll just avoid 413, she said. "I'm not stupid." And yet, she still disappeared. Elena contacted the police, filed reports, printed flyers, pushed her way into the Lafitte Hotel lobby one afternoon and demanded answers. But the front desk just shook their heads. There's no record of her cleaning that floor. It was a lie. She'd signed the logbook. Footage showed her entering the hallway. But after that, nothing. No exit. No footage of her leaving through the stairwell, the elevator, or any door. Just gone. Vanished. Travis Enoch, long since unemployed and living alone in Baton Rouge, saw Sophia's face on a local missing persons segment. He turned pale, sweated through his shirt, called the station 3 times but hung up each time before they picked up. Eventually, he reached out to Elena. They met at a diner. Travis told her everything, the girl, the room, the mirror, and the shadow standing behind him. When he showed her the security footage, clipped from his personal backup files, she went silent for a long time. Then she said something that chilled him to the bone. Sophia's little sister drowned during Katrina. Her name was Sophia. Same name, same age, same pale eyes. Elena showed him an old photo on her phone. Sophia and Sophia as kids, clinging to each other on a swing set. Travis nearly dropped the phone. The little girl in the hotel room? Identical. The hotel refused all requests to investigate room 413. They cited insurance restrictions and building code violations, claimed the floor was under renovation, despite no workers being assigned. That's when Elena did something drastic. She hired a team of paranormal live streamers. They called themselves Ghost Voltage, YouTubers with a small cult following. Most of their videos were clickbait trash, glorified urban explorers with night vision cameras and cheap sound effects. But when they snuck into Lafitte after hours, the footage they captured wasn't fake. It went viral for the wrong reasons. The video started with jokes and sarcastic whispering, dudes daring each other to open the haunted door, laughing nervously as they passed by the condemned room. But when they reached 413, the mood shifted. One of the crew, a girl named Kai, said she felt dizzy. Her ears started bleeding. Another guy's camera kept glitching, flashing frames of a candlelit room instead of the hallway. Then they heard it. A soft child's voice. "Come in." The door creaked open on its own. Their handhelds shook. The crew went silent. One of them stepped inside and saw a perfectly clean room, just like Travis had described. Only now Sophia was in it. She sat on the edge of the bed, silent, pale, her eyes milky white, dressed in the same uniform she'd worn when she disappeared. "Help me," she whispered. Then the mirror beside her began to drip. Black water pooled down the glass, running onto the floor, soaking the sheets. The camera caught it all, until it didn't. The screen flashed white, then static. The stream cut out. The channel went dark. Ghost Voltage never posted again. And 48 hours later, the footage was removed from every platform by DMCA takedown requests issued by the Lafitte Hotel Legal Department. But not before a few frames were leaked. One still showed Sophia in the room, eyes locked on the camera. But others showed something worse. The little girl, standing in the corner, smiling, holding hands with Sophia, and behind them, more figures, all gray, all soaking wet, all staring. Since then, room 413 has been sealed off with welded steel plates. The entire fourth floor is now closed. The elevator skips it. The stairs are padlocked. Guests aren't even told it exists. But sometimes, when the building is quiet, the new staff say they hear a child running down the hall above them. And once, in the middle of the night, a bellhop swears he saw a light flicker behind the peephole of 413. He leaned in, listened, and heard someone whisper, "Don't worry, I found someone else to stay." Not every disappearance ends with a missing poster or a search party. Some are swallowed quietly, by mirrors that move on their own, by voices trapped in static, by hotel rooms that were never meant to open again. Which of these stories haunted you the most? Was it the mirror that showed a hallway no one could explain? The boy who died, but kept texting from the grave? Or the little girl who never left room 413? Tell us in the comments. But whatever you do, don't answer texts from the dead. Don't follow reflections, and never ever walk into a room that isn't supposed to be there. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next, because the next story might be your reflection.